everyone, and welcome to Mupo and Friends.
We are Jessilyn Persson.
And I'm Michele Mupo.
And we're brought to you by Mupo TV.
And you can catch all of our shows at www.mupoentertainment.com. And if you go to www.mupotv.com, you could see all of our shows.
And you can also live chat with us every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube channel during the premiere of each episode.
And, you know, it is at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, I do have to say, we put this out there so that people come in the live chat because we have celebrities coming in on that live chat and they actually converse with people. So if you really want to get to know people, watch this video because we do something that nobody else does.
Absolutely. I mean, last week we had a celebrity come in as well and chat. It wasn't the one we were airing, but it was another one who just wanted to watch, which is also amazing. So I want to thank you for tuning into our show where we love bringing you awesome celebrities and entrepreneurs you want to know. So Michele, did you have a Mupo awesome week?
You know, I did. I always have a Mupo awesome week, and I'm very excited about this person that we are going to interview because she is one of my favorite people on planet Earth.
That's awesome. I'm excited to chat with her as well.
So we just gave you a clue. It's a her. And with that said, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back with our guest.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mupo and Friends. Our special guest today is an actress of both big and small screen, a producer and model. She's known for parts in Falling Down and The All-Nighter, and co-starring as Sybil Shepherd's daughter on the TV series Sybil, taking 10 years off from her career to raise two sons and earn a master's in social work from UCLA. She's recently with a bang playing Denise Brisbane in the ABC hit that Stephen King called the best drama on network television, Big Sky. Please welcome Dedee Pfeiffer. Hi, Dedee. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Hey, Dedee. We got applause too. So now we got a whole board.
Woo! Yay!
So I just want to tell you.
Thank you for having me back, girl.
You know, you're my soul sister. You know, and I got you whatever you need, my friend. And I'm just excited even more so. That's right, we're going to pound. But I'm even excited more so because this is the second season of Big Sky. And I want to know what's different from or how should I say this? How is filming Big Sky this season different from the first season in regard to the pandemic?
Well, one of the things is we were talking about off camera is that Michele was one of my very first interviews last season for Big Sky in the first season when we were in Canada. So there's a big difference. Right now I'm in New Mexico. So if you see like skeleton head, the New Mexico thing in this rental, that's why. And so Michele was one of the first interviews. So she warmed me up to the whole thing. Thank you for having me back. So we're in New Mexico, but actually Big Sky started in New Mexico for a minute. Then the pandemic happened, we shut down. And then we went under like the whole world did. And when we resurfaced, we went to Canada. And that's when I met you and we interviewed. Now this season we're in New Mexico, making it look like Montana. We have, it's the same genre of crazy Big Sky stuff. We're gonna mess with you. It's sexually charged, it's emotionally charged, it's naughty, it's dangerous. We got some kids in there messing around with some dangerous people. The girls are always after Ronald. But now Ronald has his own stuff going on this season. You might even feel sorry for Ronald because somebody's coming back this season, I'm not allowed to say. And this person is gonna, you know who he is, but he's gonna come back as a different character. And he's gonna mess with everybody on Big Sky.
I love it.
Yeah, you notice I just told you a lot and didn't tell you anything.
Absolutely.
Well, because Big Sky is impossible to talk about without giving up something that's a surprise. You know, Elwood, our new showrunner, is keeping in the genre of Big Sky. We're not going to just disappoint you with the cliffhangers and messing with your heart and your head. But he wants to really also make it a little more genuine in the sense of human behavior and connections, get to know the characters this season a little bit more while we mess with you.
That's awesome. So what did you miss most when things were shut down? And what was the first thing you did when things started opening back up again?
Oh my God. When everything shut down, hugging, good old fashioned hugs. I'm a hugger. Like I hug strangers. I mean,
Me too.
I can walk down the street and hug strangers, get arrested for that shit. No, but I do hug. I'll have a conversation with somebody. If we have a connection at the end of it, I'll hug them if they're okay with that. I think hugging was huge. What else? I think just the freedom of being able to do as one pleases, whatever that looks like for you. And for me, I was always a free spirit and kind of, did everything. So when we went to lockdown, number one I missed is that when we went to Canada to film, we were told that everything was going back, the borders would open up in September. So I said to my boys, you stay home, take care of the rental and the animals, and I'll pop back and forth. Because I'm not in each show a lot. I have enough downtime to pop back and forth. That never happened. So I was stuck in Canada for 9 months with a 2-week quarantine on the back to go back to Canada if I wanted to go see my boys. So I did it 3 times. I went back to see them for like 2 days and then went back and quarantined by myself for 2 weeks. And that was hard. I did it. But let me tell you, I don't think you're supposed to spend that much time by yourself for that long. I don't think it's natural, at least for me. I don't like myself that much to spend myself. I mean, Michele met me in the birdcage. I had a single on the 5th floor in Canada. And once I was in there, that was it. I was in lockdown. Like I couldn't leave.
Yeah. I'm familiar with lockdown, but we're not going to go there. So
that to me was hard. But now I will tell you, it's still, the masks and all that, which is fine, do what you got to do. It's just nice to be able to get up and go and do something, have less worry. For me, I'm a little worry ward anyways. I don't need to add on to that. So that's nice. And like I said, now I have one of my sons here in New Mexico with me, and I brought all the animals. And my older son, he moved out because he was like, I ain't going to New Mexico. I'm 19. I'm out, Mom.
wow.
Oh.
I know, right? No, it's good. He's 19. He's supposed to.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. He's a man,
Now, basement boy. I don't even have a basement, so that makes it wrong on top of wrong. Can't be a basement boy without a basement.
You got to come to Jersey for the basement,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
you got to be on the east side for that. Now, there are so many subplots going on in the first season of Big Sky, right? Yeah. Which one was your favorite that you were directly involved with?
Well, Denise is an odd character in Big Sky. She's not really directly involved with any of the craziness in any of the storylines because she's Mama Bear. She's the rock at Dulan Hoyt. She's the safe place for the girls and anybody in the story to come and take a breath. So far, that's what's going on. Who knows if Elwood's going to change that? I don't know. I'm always the last to know. I literally know when I get the script. But I would have to say, I love Jessie James Keitel. Jessie James, she plays Jerry in the show. And, when the minute they brought her into Dulan Hoyt, I just started having so much fun with her that I think the writers, director, and everyone noticed that Dee Dee and Jessie get along really well. And we're like freaking frat. We could not be more opposites. But yet we have this like rapport. We're always jabbing each other in between the scenes and stuff. So there's this rapport on screen that they're able to capture with Denise and Jerry. So this season, how do I say this? I can't say it. Let's just say it's something with Jerry's character that warms my heart at this point. Now, remember, we're only on script 4. We got quite a few more. Who knows what's going to happen with Denise this season? Maybe they'll keep her as this constant. Or maybe they'll throw her in out of nowhere when no one's looking. I don't know. I mean, that's what's so exciting. Every time I get a script, I go, oh, what's going on?
So what story twist surprised you the most?
That the way with, Ronald and his girlfriend Scarlett, last season took off almost like this Bonnie and Clyde couple, which I love. And then when they brought them back this season, they took another left turn, which I can't tell you, So you think they're going in this Bonnie and Clyde way, and I think they still might. But there's like this another off ramp that they're venturing down that includes one of the characters that's coming back, whom y'all love to hate the first season, who's coming back as a different character and is gonna mess with him in a different way. And Scarlett. So to me, that's one of the more fun ones because Ronald is really fun to hate, but you also kind of like him.
I do like him.
You do feel sorry for him. And yet you can't, you know, and I love that he confuses you. One minute you're like, okay, you are just messed up. You need to go to jail. You just need to go to jail forever and throw away the key. And then another moment you're like, oh, someone just needs to hug him.
Exactly.
Childhood. Come on, give the guy a little break, right? And then he does something whacked again. You're like, no, throw him back in jail. It's part of this beautiful roller coaster that Big Sky will take you on emotionally. That's why I say it's emotionally charged. Yeah. And same thing with Scarlett. In a strange way, you kind of feel sorry for her. And then you go, wait a minute. She's just as bad as Ronald, if not worse. In a way, where you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe she needs to be locked up.
This is a show that everybody needs to watch. Like I stopped going to rest stops. I'm not going to a rest stop when I'm driving anymore. It's just not happening.
Were you doing that before, Michele? Because maybe that's a conversation we had right there. What are you doing at restaurant?
No, like when I traveled, like I used to travel to do autograph signings all the time with the divas from the WWE and the wrestlers, and we would stop, because obviously if you have to get to a gig, to an autograph signing, you want to do as much as you can and then leave late at night so you don't have the traffic, and you stop at these rest stops to go to the bathroom or to grab food or whatever you need to do. You know what I mean? But I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I got to tell you, and long trips at night during windy, mountainy roads.
Exactly.
Even now when I'm driving back from the set and my GPS goes out and I know where I'm going, but it's really dark and these dirt roads and my GPS goes out, and I get that weird feeling. What? Wait. Something happens to me. Like, who's going to know?
Oh, God forbid. God forbid.
And it's weird. You start to mess with your head. And I'm doing the show, and I know it's all pretend, but it's kind of it's based on stuff that really happens. I mean, it's not like this is like, I was gonna say aliens, but I believe in that. It's not like you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's far-fetched anymore. I kind of believe in everything now.
So I have a question from a fan. They want to know, what part of yourself have you found in a character of Denise Brisbane?
This is the first character, by the way, thank you for the question. Good question. This is the very first character that I have played in a long time that is the most like me. Like the most like me. This is why when David texted me, which shocked no one, David Kelly, who's my brother-in-law, who created the show, when he texted me and he said, I have this I'm doing the show and there's this role for you. I was like, first of all, I didn't know you had my number. And the only time I hear from you is at Christmas or Thanksgiving when we go fishing and hang out and stuff. I mean, because we're a tight family, but we're a big family. So when he said that, I was like, what? I read the role, and I was finishing my master's of social work degree at UCLA, literally right when he offered me this role. So there was an overlap of me finishing my degree. And then I started to realize that I could bring in a lot of the skills that I learned as a social worker and my bachelor's of psych into Denise, because I think that's what makes her a little different than the normal office manager, is that she does come with a mama bear and I love everybody, I don't judge, and I'm a safe place, someone you can go talk to. Although this season you are going to find out she does live in Montana, so she carries a Glock. No. That's where we're different, my friend. Mama don't carry a Glock. I have a Rottweiler. So I'm saying, I'm not a fan of guns. I'm not anti-gun or anything. I'm just, yeah.
I can't have a gun.
But Denise is like, she just throws that in the scene. I literally, like I said, I had no idea. I'm reading the scene. And they're talking about guns. Jerry's talking about getting guns. And Denise just throws in, oh, I'm a Glock gal. Don't let them talk you into getting a wheeler. And I had to go, what's a wheeler? Because they're like, oh, a revolver. I go, oh, I had no idea. But I love the fact that Denise carries. It's like, it's Montana, why not? I'm in Albuquerque here and they carry. It's crazy. On the news it says, don't shoot the bat. If you find a bat in your kitchen, don't shoot it. Club it. And I thought, I am so not in Kansas anymore. I guess they probably carry there too. I'm not in LA anymore because when I have a bat in my kitchen, I always think pulling out my rifle and just take it out, right? I mean, isn't that funny when you hear that on the news? I love this stuff because it's so foreign to me. Shooting a bat in your kitchen.
Yeah. I don't know if I could shoot a bat because I think they're cute.
What are you doing shooting in your kitchen anyway? There's a fly. I'm going to shoot that. I mean, the whole thing is funny. I mean, but yet, it's just a different way of living, which to me is so damn interesting, right? I love it. I love it. Yeah. So Denise is definitely like me. I made her sober like me. She's in recovery like me. Very first episode, Cody is in recovery. Cody and who's like 5,000 years ago, right? Cody's the guy that how this all started with the girls. His character had issues with alcohol addiction, and we made it that Denise and he were like sober brother and sister. But that was never said. It was played. It was insinuated. And I think she's a smart ass like me.
Yeah, it's a very good storyline.
Denise is 50. I'm playing a younger woman. I'm 57. I'm just I'm playing a younger woman. I never thought you. I know, right? I never thought I would be saying these words. I'm playing a younger woman. She's 50. You don't say that every day.
No, you don't. So did you approach your character any differently this season to keep things fresh?
Yeah. I think the first season, at least for me, I can't speak for anyone, there's a little bit of an element of holding your breath because it's the first season. A lot of pressure to do well. The network studio invites you to jump through hoops to be successful enough to get that second year pickup. So there's that anticipation, like, like you really want to do everything right so that, because you're part of a team, right? It's not all on me. It's not all on Kylie or Catherine or Jerry or Ronald or any of us, right? It's a team and you don't have control over everybody. So you just do your best and you kind of hold your breath and cross your fingers and pray to your God. Or for me, I just ask Mother Earth to go mama.
That's my girl.
Over here and get me a second season, right? Because I'd like to get out of my rental and buy a home one day. And so that's an element that I think is an underlining tone. This season, I'm a little bit more relaxed. Not much. We still have to get that third season. We still have some big hoops to jump through. But I would say there's a little bit more calmness to my character. I'm a little bit more sure of where I'm going with Denise because I had the validation of the first season of my followers or my fans, the network, the writers, when they say little things like, oh, we love writing for Denise. I go, oh, thank you. Or I have people like Michele go, I love your character. I'm like, thank you. Those validations help me calm down a little bit and go, okay, I'm taking Denise in the right direction, that she's likable. But then again, in Big Sky, everyone has to have some surprises. We still don't know what Denise's surprise is, right? I mean, maybe she's the only one in this whole show that doesn't have one. I don't know.
She's going to be the last standing.
She's like married to who do I love? That South African guy with the white hair who runs on the Tigers. Look at me. That's me, Dedee talking. It is really cool to have him on. He's really cute.
Well, make them write it in. You're related to the main guy who's.
Yeah, Cole, you're crazy. I can't even get people to call me back. No, I'm joking. This is a big show, and I'm an employee. That's I'm hired to play Denise and be a team player. So I would never, even if I did have all that pull, I would never do that. Although he is really cute.
All right, so maybe we could do something. We'll have to do a message to him. We'll get him to call you back. Now, Big Sky used right. So Big Sky used Highway by CJ Box as a source material. Will the books actually be used in further seasons, or?
That's a good question. I'm pretty, not that I've heard. That's a good question though. Like this season, I believe Elwood and the writers are taking already what we've established and going from there.
They escalated it.
Actually, now I'm thinking about it, it might be a book. Michele, you caught me off guard. I don't know that answer.
I'm sorry, honey.
I still love you. I need to find out that. That's a darn good thing I need to find out. No,
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be back with Dedee Pfeiffer.
And we're back with Dedee Pfeiffer. Can you give us any hints or spoilers about the season to come?
Now, you know I can't do that. But I am here to tease.
Okay.
I promise you won't be let down. Everybody's on fire this season. Like I said, we got our second season. So we kind of got rid of the ibby jibbies. Oh my God, are we going to come back? We're back, you know? And like I said, we brought back a character that you guys all love to hate, but we brought him back in a different way to love to hate, I think. And we have these group of kids that are so talented that get into a lot of trouble. And what's really great is they do what kids do, which is stupid things. I say that with love. I have 2 kids, but they do stupid things, and then they get into trouble, and then the girls have to jump in. Right? We've got a love interest for Catherine. Omar's still around playing Lindor. He's messing around with. Oh, that's something else that's really fun. There's some weird love triangle I can't talk about, but I think it might be between Lindor and Cassie and maybe Jerry with Lindor.
Wow.
Which is funny because I don't know where they're going with that. We're in 4th episode and I called Jessie. I say, what's going on? And she goes, I don't know. And I called Omar, who plays Lindor. I go, what's going on? And she goes, I don't know either. And I go, oh my God. So how about that for a tease? See, there's so many stories going on this season. You really have to hold on, eat your Wheaties or your drink or your Cheetos, whatever it is, and really watch this show because we're going to throw a lot at you, a lot this season.
They threw a lot at us the last season. I was in shock.
Yeah, this season we got the Omar thing going on in there. Oh, and then there's another character. Oh, and then another actress coming in as a possible of interest for Catherine's character, Jenny. Then there's that, and he's with because she branches. See, I don't even know where to start. See, now I'm talking. Because she goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Lot is going on.
You gotta watch the show. You have to watch. When is it coming out again?
I dare someone to watch the show and try to explain it as well because it's hard.
But it comes out when? The 30th?
30th, yep. I think that's in a week or 2. Yeah.
And we're going to air it this Sunday, but I'm just very excited. I can't wait. So every time you post something with Big Sky, I have to share it because I think everybody should watch this show.
Yeah.
It scared me to death in the first episode. I was like, oh my God. But now I want you to talk about how you went to school and what you went to school for. Just tell everyone a little bit who didn't get to see the first episode that you did with us.
Long story short, 2. Okay. Graduated 2 years ago. I was working on the pilot of this when I graduated from UCLA, Master's of Social Work, got a bachelor's in psych in a community college. And it took me 10 years because I'd never been to high school before, college. I barely graduated high school. I graduated in 82. Do the math, no computers, no thesis statement, no algebra, at least in my school. I didn't know I tested less than a 5th grader. So I had a lot of prerequisites. I had 2 kids in tow. So it took me 10 years to do it. And in the process of that, in between my 2-year graduate program at UCLA, I took a year off to get sober, to get my butt sober because I was a very high functioning alcoholic. And now I'm a huge advocate for the conversation to be had, for recovery, mental health. My area of concentration in college was homelessness, mental health, and substance use. So it's very close to me personally because I was in my disease while I was studying it.
Can you see why I love her, Jess?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I love you too, girl. But it was incredibly humbling to be in the field, in my internship, still hiding my truth, which was I was in my own addiction. And to be able to finally say, wait a minute. I have a story. I am not my story. I have an addiction. It is not me. You know what I mean? It's like when my disease is active, Dedee's gone. My authentic self is not even in the room.
And for the record, we held that story back because you were supposed to be doing an interview with People or something. We were the first ones to know about this.
Yeah, because that ended up not working out for whatever reason. And then so actually, I think we probably were the first ones to
air it.
Mention it. Yeah. Well, because you know what's so funny? We were going to do this big, like, coming out, Dedee Pfeiffer, you know, she's in recovery and this whole thing, making it like some special thing because it was my story. And then finally, when it kind of didn't happen that way, I was like, that's better. That makes more sense. It should be a conversation. It shouldn't be a big epiphany. Of course, I'm an alcoholic. My God, I come from a lineage of alcoholics. My father taught me how to be a high functioning alcoholic. God bless him. You know, he taught me how to do that. You know, I learned from the best. My grandfather, the same difference. I know a lot of people right now in the industry and other fields, high functioning addicts, right? And I say addict, and you can be addicted to food, sex.
I'm an addict.
There you go, baby. Right? We talk, right? Meth, heroin. I went to rehab with a whole bunch of addicts. Our drug of choice was all different, but we had a common theme. We were slowly killing ourselves. Our lives were unmanageable. We were not our real person inside at any given day when you're hiding in your disease and you're, you know, making a lot of turmoil. And more importantly, when you go from, which I was, and anyone in their disease, I went from the identified problem in my family and friends and community, if you really want to go there, to the identified possibility. And that's what I am now. And all of us that are in recovery are now the identified possibility. We show others, I can do it, you can do it, I can do it, you know, because you are the identified problem when you're in your disease, but you have the opportunity to become the identified possibility. Because think about it. Do you know anybody else who works so darn hard on themselves other than somebody who's in recovery? Every day trying not to use, every day trying to not be a dry drunk, right? Every day try to get it right, you know, every day try to give to others because part of your recovery, you know. I mean, we work really hard to stay sober. So we're kind of this incredible group of people, all of us that are in recovery. And I include all of those that relapse. And that's part of some people's story, you know, and some make it back from the relapse and some don't. I buried 3 people in the first year of recovery. They didn't make it back. Oh. It's part of the ugly truth. And this is why I'm so open about it. We have to have a conversation. I mean, we just have to be able to talk about it. So
I love that you call it a possibility. That's awesome. So people are becoming more aware of the importance of mental health. Mm-hmm. What is the most important thing people need to know but don't about mental illness?
That the person that suffers with the mental health issues and or substance use, we carry such shame. I had terrible trauma growing up and then older in life, whatever, it was just kind of re-traumatized and da-da-da. And unless trauma is assessed for and then properly treated, not just don't throw a pill at it and, you know, run away. And now I'm not saying that medicines are not appropriate. Are you kidding me? I'm on Lexapro. Works great for me. I don't care. You know, a little bit helps me, and I've been on it for years. Helps me from bottoming out into my anxiety that kneecaps me, right? But I also do a lot of therapy. I also do I have a lot of people around me that support me when it comes to sobriety. I have a lot of people in recovery who understand me, who get me because we're the same. I mean, they may be in their 20s or in their 80s, and maybe their thing is meth, and maybe their thing is sex or food or whatever, but we get each other, right? I think one of the important things is that we have to remember is that those of us who carry this around with us have a lot of shame. Shame kneecaps you. Shame makes you, shame is just a nasty, awful thing to carry. And if somebody around those of us who are in recovery can maybe open up their lens to that and be a little compassion to the fact that this person carries a lot of shame, you may or may not understand that. And that's okay, right? I don't understand a normie. It's okay. A normie is somebody who can go have one glass of wine and walk away. I do not understand that person. Who does that? Oh, a normie. When I was drinking, I didn't do that, right?
Me neither.
Right. Yeah. And that's okay. There's no judgment in that. But I think really just trying to leave space for, how about this? It's okay to say to somebody who's in recovery, I have no idea what it means like to be you. But I would like to be here for you. Tell me what that looks like to you. And they may say, thank you for just saying that, but I'm good. I have my sober group or whatever. And that's okay too. Because remember, roles define. When you're in your disease, people around you play roles. They have designated roles that they may or may not want, whether it's enabler or the one blaming you or yelling at you or whatever. But when you go into recovery, their roles change. So there's some growing and a journey for everybody around you as well.
Amen.
Right? And there's compassion on both sides. So like my family, they love and support me terribly. Like they do anything for me. They don't understand addiction. They know what it looks like to see my dad and my grandfather and then me, but they don't really know how to have that conversation. Say, Michele and I could turn this camera off right now, right? And start going, okay, right? And have that common denominator when it comes to that shame, that ugly shame, that, going from the identified problem in any one group to the identified possibility. My family understands it intellectually, but Michele would get it here.
Emotionally, we get it.
And that's okay, right? That's like asking me to understand them as a normie. I get it here, what it means to be a normie. I don't get it here. Still don't understand why you left the glass of wine half full. No one does that in my world. You're not finished. Right?
I know, but that, it's funny. We'll have to talk about that outside the camera. But now you've spoken about how kids with learning disabilities used to be categorized as stupid, right?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Has that changed? Because I think it still goes on, but I know it has changed. Just tell everyone how, because we do have, issues where people are watching, and maybe you can answer some questions for them.
When I grew up, like I said, I graduated in 1982. If you do the math, we were doing some barbaric shit.
And I'm 85.
Okay, there you go. So we would literally have math and reading groups, 1, 2, and 3. 1 were the ones that were bright, 2 were like the average kids, and the rest were stuck in group 3 with Bobby who ate paste.
I was
mention that, Dedee, because guess who advocates for the Bobbies who eat paste to this day? Me. So that backfired on y'all by putting me in the 3rd group, which we all knew what the 3rd group was.
I was in the 3rd group too. I'm telling you.
All the interesting people who grow up to be anything that I think is really like fun and interesting were in the group 3. But growing up, it was pretty painful to be put in 3. You were immediately labeled without being labeled. You were totally labeled. And what happened was it took me to go to college in my late 40s, walked up to community college saying, hey, I want to get a degree and help people. They're like, hey, what is that? What do you want to get? I said, I don't know, you tell me. They're like, that's not how it works, ma'am. You tell us. And I go, I want to help people. They go, a psych degree? I said, yeah, that works. And that started my journey. I just got into class. And I just started from there. So I had not a clue what I was doing. What we realized is that I had the will, the want, the drive to learn, but I was taking forever to test. And I learned different. Like, why was it taking me 3 days to write a page when these kids would knock it off in a half an hour? And one of the professors immediately said, you should get tested. I was tested. Come to find out I had learning disabilities. Went through my entire elementary school not knowing I had learning disabilities. I just was put in the dummy group 3 in everything and told that that's who you are. So I believed it. I believed I was dumb and stupid and less than all the other kids. And it was funny because when people would say, Dedee, you're actually quite bright. I used to be blonde. And back then when you were blonde and smart, back then that was an oxymoron. What do you call it? Like the two never went together, And I always was very taken back and I never believed them. And then I went into college and they tested me and they said, actually, you're very bright. You just have learning disabilities. And then once they identified them, and I got extra help in college, community college, extra time for tests, note taker, and then we discovered I learned differently. So I had a tutor that dealt with special needs, people who think different. I got A's. across the board.
Yes.
And my experience turned from kind of really tough and miserable and hard, and more importantly, how I used to judge myself and how I thought of myself. I went from that in my 40s to, hey, wait a minute, I'm not stupid. And all of you who put us in these groups, shame on you. Why would you do that to a child who's still developing who they are? Because I had that tattooed on my forehead for way too long, but it also made me who I am. Okay, so it made me a smart ass, funny. You know, it gave me a personality because I couldn't rely on that I'm a smart kid ticket because I wasn't on that ticket or in that group, right? So first thing I started doing was I got my kids tested, and sure enough, they both have learning disabilities, and then now they have 504 plans, which help them. You know, it gives you a little extra help so that you can have a fair shot at the grades in which you should be able to get. I'm a huge advocate of just assessing for things. It's the same thing when you're addiction and trauma. I mean, you cannot treat trauma without looking at the addiction. You can't treat addiction without looking at the trauma. They go together like peanut butter and jelly, man. They dance really well. They dance well on the floor. So if you're only dealing with the addiction on the trauma, you're looking at a relapse. And if you're dealing with the trauma and you're not looking at the way an addict thinks and feels and what have you, and get them on a treatment plan, whether it's harm reduction or AA or whatever, right? Yeah, A. You assess, and then you come to that person in a very individualized way. You have to assess for that, and then treat it appropriately, but not in a cookie cutter manner. That's not going to work. You know, that's why group 1, 2, and 3 is stupid. Shame on them.
So what do you think the most important social issues are today?
Oh God, where do you start? Okay, here we go. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Well, there's a plethora of them. I mean, you have to look at homeless. You have to look at mental health. You have to look at addiction. There's a lot of change going on in our world, and I see. I'm not a big fan of change myself. Like I go to the same place every time. I wear my same happy hair, the same color, my same shirt I've been wearing for the last 3 interviews. My publicist is gonna yell at me, but I like things that are safe and predictable, right? So I understand people don't like change. Yet change happens every day of our life. Look at the planet. It's changing every day, for good or bad or whatever you believe in, right? You don't even have to forget about climate change for a minute. That tree changed overnight. It lost a leaf or it grew a leaf. Right? Change is inevitable. So if we're part of Mother Earth, and we are, if we're not changing with the Earth, then we're missing out on something fundamental, and we're going to be left behind. So I think everybody just learning how to be tolerant of change, look at each other with curiosity versus resistance. If I'm listening to you with resistance, look at that. Look at my view of you. It's pretty messed up, isn't it? Resistance. If I listen to you with curiosity, look at all the information I get.
Amen.
Yeah.
We can look and listen to each other, and it's hard, especially with politics. I'm not going to go there, but it's hard to not listen to that with resistance, and on both sides. But how about moderation? Because to me, I kind of feel like the yin and the yang, it's somewhere in the middle. I always tell my boys, you got to listen to the left, you got to listen to the right, and you got to listen to all the stuff in between. Sometimes the answer is generally swims somewhere in the middle, and like the current, it can flow back and forth. It's fluid. The world, life is fluid. So I think our opinions and our feelings sometimes need to go with to be a little more fluid. That's hard though. If you come from my generation, I mean, if I was trying to tell my dad this, God bless him, if my mom and my dad right now, if they were still alive, they'd be like, what shit are you talking, Dieter, do? You don't understand, because when I grew up in North Dakota, I'm like, yeah, I know you went to school with no shoes in the snow. I know. It started off with a hole, and as you got older, you had no shoes in the snow. I get it, Dad, right? But remember, we have a lot of people still on the earth from an older generation, older different way of thinking, and I respect that. I understand that. I get that, you know. And we also have a lot of new people with these new generation are more like fluid, and they're like, hey, I'm not afraid of change. It's okay. So we have two dynamic groups of people, I think, in the world that are trying to figure out where in the hell the middle is. Because that's where we can't go one or the other, or we're going to lose out on the majority, right? If we don't somehow figure out a comfortable place in the middle that swims. That's a little
I agree. I agree. And kids have no idea how to be a kid anymore.
Yeah, my kids are very concerned with social issues. My 19-year-old, it's so funny because on my social media, I'm not allowed to get political. And it's funny because my kids said, if you do Instagram, which is what it's the only thing I do, Dedee Pfeiffer official, I only got it because of the show. Because otherwise I don't do social media because I think it's good and bad. And also I didn't know how to do it and I just didn't want to be bothered. So now that I do it, so I can do publicity on the show and also feature our cockatoo. She's very, very important. Annie,
I'm waiting for her to come on board. We'll have to, you know.
Going to any minute. She's over there right now. A little powder on her beak. My son said, don't get political, Mom. Please don't be one of the celebrities. Don't do it, please, please. And I was like, okay, I promise you I won't get political, but so I do soft ways of supporting things that I think are important in soft ways. I'm not going to ever be in your face. So for instance, like I talk about my recovery openly because that's important. And sometimes I lose followers and I totally understand that. They're a little uncomfortable with the conversation. That's okay. That's all right. I don't blame them. Other people go, oh my God, Dedee Pfeiffer's talking about addiction. Holy shit. And she's talking about it like a hangnail. Hey, it's another thing in another day. You want me to go get Panty now? Want me to get Panty?
We're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
And we are back with the amazing Dedee Pfeiffer from my favorite TV show on ABC, Big Sky. Now, Dedee, have you ever been able to use your psych degree in this acting field that you're doing in Big Sky? Are you going to use it, do you think?
You mean as Denise?
Yes.
She kind of uses it all the time.
Yeah, I thought you were when there was a death, I forget who it was, but you went and leaned forward and touched them like you were like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss or something. I thought you were going to belt out and start giving words of wisdom, but you were.
Yeah. They haven't explored that part of Denise. I think it's because the show is so charged that when you do come to Dueling Point and you do calm down for a minute with Denise, it can really only be for an amount of time that's appropriate for the tempo of the whole show, right? Because we have like our show is like going on a crazy wild ride. You're exhausted.
It is.
Right? And so you kind of can't sit for too long at Dueling Hoyt with Denise and have a cup of coffee and talk about your feelings because then you lose that momentum, you know? So I think, and I totally could be wrong, but I think that's why Denise probably doesn't ever really go into things that she may have, but it's certain, I always play it, whether I say it, I play it. And also, I did it one time with Catherine in the scene. It's funny because it was Cody had just died, and well, for those of you who haven't seen the first season, oh well, you should binge it by now. When he went to the light, she was running, working, and the whole thing. And then Denise kind of is listening to her, and she gives her some words of wisdom. But as an actor and as a clinician, I stopped and took a pause and was just listening to her. And afterwards she said, and then I gave her my line, right? Afterwards she said, oh, can you pick up the pace? You can give me your line. You're kind of like lagging. And I said, huh. So that pause, how did it make you feel? And she was, well, kind of, I'm waiting for you to say and maybe feel uncomfortable. I said, do you think maybe Denise is making you feel? Do you think Denise is maybe trying to get you to feel something because you're running from the feeling? I said, it's called hard listening. Denise was hard listening. You leave a lot of room for you to feel things. So you were running, the character's running, and she's, oh my God, that's so awesome. And the director was like, hard listening. Oh, wow, I'm going to have to use that, you know? So that was a clinical thing that we do, and where you just hard listen and let the person, leave a lot of room for the person to hear themselves, be uncomfortable with things that are coming up. If you're talking, they're not going to be able to do that.
Right.
So I would use some of my clinical skills in that 1 minute. That was the beginning. That was a long time ago.
That's all right.
I can say fuck. Oh. Okay, ABC just fired me. All right.
So have you ever worked with your sister, Michele, or is that something you'd like to do in the future?
Yeah, I worked with her on Frankie and Johnny and Up Close and Personal. I read for those roles. I got them fair and square. People, oh, nepotism. And you know, it's so funny because people are like, it's about time that David, hired you. I said, hey, I read for David's shows in the past. I just didn't get them. So I wasn't right for the role, And the same thing with 2 of the films I did with Shell. I read for those roles, and the directors really liked me for those roles. So you can say nepotism all day long, but also I think it's kind of unfair to say that, because that just basically discredits all of my 30 plus years of acting. I mean, I kind of work with other people than my sister and David. So it's like, does none of that mean anything now? It's like, oh, that's nepotism. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, Michael Douglas.
Yeah, I'm not related to Michael Douglas, for fudge's sake. How did I get that? Michele never worked with me. She doesn't know him. I read for that and got that.
I think you're excellent and you're one of my favorite. So that means a lot, because I'm not like, I don't know. I just have to watch everything you do.
Thank you. You're a sweetheart.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's just we bonded and I was just like, yeah, it is what it is. And tell us, like, I know that the last time we spoke, you were feeding a bunch of birds. Did you adopt any more pets?
Well, no, what happened was I was in Canada, stuck in what's called the bird cage. There's a single little room that I was in. It was very sweet. It was in a hotel. And like I said, quarantine, it was rough. Everything was closed. There was nothing to do anyways. So I started feeding every bird that came to my balcony, named them all. They're all on my Instagram. There's videos of them. Skipper and Gilligan and all my birds. So now I'm in New Mexico, and now there's a skunk out in front. I named him Skippy. He's very cute. Wow. There's a turkey with his wife and 3 kids, which I named Mr. and Mrs. Turkey and the 3 Stooges. They're a vulture turkeys. They're in my backyard. And so, yeah, now I'm just continuing. Oh, and there's a donkey out on the end of the street. I named Betsy. I have no idea what these animals' real names are. Most of them are wild, so they have names. But
wow.
Now I'm just naming New Mexico animals that come within my in my view.
Now, your Rottweiler, does he go after the skunks?
Well, she.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. It's okay. She looks like a bee. She's a big girl.
She's tough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, when I just make sure that when the skunk's out there, that she's not out there, because that can get smelly real fast. Oof. Yeah. No, actually, Skippy seems to only come at night, and I have a floodlight out there I have on. So if you look on Instagram, I have a picture of Skippy. He's really cute. He's got a big fluffy tail.
Yeah, I think I like that one too.
Really cute.
You've said you have a story, but you're not your story. How do you avoid becoming your story?
What happens is, I think that when you have trauma, you have things that happen to you in life, you feel shat on, you feel victimized, because you are. You are. When you're traumatized, something happened to you, right? So it's very common in the beginning to feel victimized, like a victim. And that's appropriate for a stage of healing. After an amount of time that's appropriate to the person, okay? It's important to then ask yourself, is that helping you any longer, right? And if it's not, then you have the option to change that narrative, right? Which is, this happened to me. And that makes it, I am my story, right? Versus, no, I have a story. I own my story. It's my story, but it doesn't own me anymore. I'm not a victim of my story anymore. Because otherwise, it's really hard to heal. It's hard to grow when you're stuck and feeling like you're a victim, even though you were victimized. And that is the truth. That is true. But again, after a certain amount of healing and time, hopefully the treatment plan that helps you and some kind of person to talk to, whether it's a group It could be, you could be a great therapist. There's even some really fantastic spiritual leaders. I'm not religious, but I know some priests and some rabbis are starting now to have this language in trauma and helping, their people who go to their temples or their churches. Or there's AA. There's a lot of ways to now go get support to help you learn that mantra. It's a way of thinking. I literally put Post-its on my mirror when I first heard that. You have a story. You're not your story. And I went, I got it here. Like, oh, I like that. I like that. It's so like owning it versus being a victim. But I got it here, but I didn't get it here. So I put it on my mirror. I have a story. I'm not my story. Every day I'd look at it and remind myself, say it out loud. I put it out in the universe. And it took me probably about a year before I actually said it. And I can't remember who I was talking to. I was actually really angry. I was venting. And I said, and damn it, I have a story. I'm not my story. And I went, oh my God, I get it now. It went from here to here. And because I said it and I meant it, but I had to keep saying it for a long time before it slipped from here to an idea to where I went, damn it, that's my truth. That's my truth. That doesn't happen overnight. I think that's the problem. We want to just be fixed. I'm like, give me a pill and make it happen. Right? I want to like eat my junk food and lose weight. That ain't gonna happen either. So
that would be nice though.
I know, right? Yeah, we got to work on that. But otherwise, they're baby steps, and it can start literally with just saying it, like just say it out loud or have it in the mirror, just to remind yourself. Right? It's almost kind of like brainwashing yourself into positive thinking.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, a lot of times, as a child especially we're told you're stupid, or put in the group 3 with Bobby who's paced, and and then you grow up and you're Michele Pfeiffer's sister, and then everyone's comparing you to that. You're like, really? Thanks a lot, setting me up for success. There's no setting me up for success if you're comparing me to somebody else, anybody, including of course my sister, anybody, So there's all these things that goes in and becomes your mantra. You're not even aware that that's your internal conversation with yourself, right? So if that's your internal conversation, somehow that got in there out of repetition, right? So now you got to change that repetition.
Right.
Wash yourself into saying, no, that's negative talk. That is not helping me. I'm not doing it. I'm not going there. Where's my little Post-it reminding me that I have a story that I'm not, where's my Post-it that reminds me that I was the identified problem, but now today I'm the identified possibility. Where's that Post-it again? I need to read that again. Right.
And it's funny. People know how to push my buttons. When they say no to me, I just look at them because I've heard no all my life, and I've heard negative things all my life, that my no turns out to be a yes, because then I go to show you that I can do it. Mm-hmm. And even if I don't like the result of me doing it, but I just do it to prove a point. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy.
Yeah,
it really is. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with the conclusion of our interview with my favorite, Dedee Pfeiffer.
Welcome back. So Dedee, before we wrap things up, we have one last question. If you were to interview yourself, what question would you ask, and what would the answer be?
What? I can't hear you.
She's squeaking. I said, that's a good question, isn't it? What do you think?
Look, she wants.
If I could ask myself a question, what would it be and what would the answer be?
Yeah.
Okay. If I could ask myself any question, this is the question. Are you ready? Okay. The question is going to be, why do I have a cockatoo on my shoulder? No.
I'm going to look at you too when you said that.
I know.
I think she's going to go for my glasses. Don't do it. Don't do it. I would say, well, how come you're still single at 57? You've been married 3 times, 3 divorces, you know, in all these relationships. How can you, who's going to want to date you, right? With that kind of a history. That's the question, which is a tough question. No one's going to ask me that, so I'll ask it. No, don't bite my mala beads. And the answer is simple. The only thing I knew were dysfunctional relationships because I was very dysfunctional in my own right. And this is me taking my participation in all my failed relationships, right? And now at 57, I'm really excited about, for the first time, experiencing a healthy relationship and what that looks like. I'm really excited about that. So it's not like, oh my God, you're 57 and you divorced 3 times and you're a loser. No, it's not. I mean, you can think that. That's your opinion. She's about to bite my mala beads. That's bad karma. That's
Oh boy.
Yeah, right. So, okay. So I would say that I was dysfunctional, and I didn't understand what a healthy functioning relationship was, and nor was I capable of it. But now I am, and that's really exciting. So for anybody out there who's in their 50s or 60s or whatever, at any age, you know, having a healthy relationship is absolutely possible. Again, you have to be open to it and look at life through curiosity versus resistance. For those who say, oh my God, you know, look at her track record, and guys, that's looking at it through resistance, and not very positive, I might add, right? Versus saying, oh my God, like if I was a guy, I would be like, hey, you know, I want to have a functional relationship with her. Right? Hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a treat visiting with you. Look for Dedee Pfeiffer in Falling Down on Amazon Prime. On Cybele, did I say that right? Cybele on IMDb TV and Pluto TV. On Air with Cash, episode 15 on YouTube and on Big Sky Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. You can follow, like, and subscribe to Dedee on Instagram at Dedee Pfeiffer Official.
As always, thank you for tuning in to Mupo and Friends, courtesy of Mupo TV. And you could watch this show and others at www.mupoentertainment.com or www.mupotv.com.
This is Jessilyn Persson with our host, Michele Mupo. Until next time.
Have a Mupo awesome week.